Good afternoon to all. I, Rubaldeep Gill, Associate Professor, Department of Computer Science and Engineering, welcome you all to today's last session. This session is on artificial intelligence application in biomedical system. This session will be taken by Dr. Varun Bajaj. He is a senior member of the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers. Dr. Varun is Assistant Professor, PDPM in Indian Institute of Information Technology, Design and Manufacturing, Jabalpur. Welcome you, sir. And over to you, sir.
Okay. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Hello. Yeah,
Yes, sir.
voice is coming now.
Yes, sir. It's clear.
So thank you to all of you. And so today we talk about the artificial intelligence application in biomedical systems. So overview of my talk is introduction. Then we will talk about empirical mode decomposition based features for classification of seizure and non-seizure EEG signal. Then we will talk about some other methodology, time frequency image based features for classification of sleep stages. The motive of this task, how the AI can be useful for pathological as well as physiological state to identify to identify some neurological disorders. So first, today we talk about pathological conditions. So pathological conditions means the states where the person having some disease. Okay, so today we discuss about epileptic seizure disease and how it can be classified by using EEG signals. Okay, then tomorrow we will go for physiological states. Physiological states classification means like there are some neurological phenomena like sleep stage classification, emotion classification. In that particular state, they did not contain any disease. Okay, they are physiological phenomena which can use for development of artificial intelligence based system. Okay, then we will go for conclusion how the AI can be useful, then references, then what is the current research work on that particular area. So in introduction of AI, as we already know AI is a use of a computer to model intelligent behavior with minimum human intervention. Means in AI there are different type of branches artificial intelligence, but here we are using computer as a model or intelligence system, so the people or human intervention is not required. They can automatically take decision, they can go for, so there are different branch, based on that they can take decision and accordingly they can perform some task. So machine or computer programming are capable to solve uh, problem solving and learning like human brain. Okay, then in that particular artificial intelligence based system, so like natural language processing and translation, so there are something like pattern recognition, visual perception and decision making. These are the three important parameters in artificial intelligence. So machine learning is one of the most excited area to development of computational approach to automatically make sense of data. Whatever data we have, that we will process and we will identify, we will find out some information in the form of features. Then how this particular problem can be solved. So what is the advantage of machine? First, it can retain the information. Second, become smarter over the time. Machine is not uh, susceptible to sleep prevention, okay, disturbance, information overloading, short-term memory loss. So there are there are few useful things in a machine. That's why we required some machines which can take decision. So the AI in biomedical have two different branches. One is known as virtual branch, second one is known as physical branch. So why AI is required? Because sometimes highly repetitive work. Okay, that's why we required some machine. Okay, which can take decision. So that's why we required some artificial intelligence based system in biomedical if the work is repeatedly, highly repetitively. Another thing is empower doctors, help them to deliver the faster and more accurate results. For example, if somebody is doing continuous analysis or continuous monitoring of EEG signals, it is very difficult task. Suppose you want to go for sleep stage analysis, then sleep data is 8-hour data. So 8-hour recording by visual inspection, 8-hour recording is very difficult to observe. That's why we required some automatic algorithm, artificial intelligence based algorithm, so that we can extract and we can get some conclusion. Automatically, we can decide how the process is done and what the person having some problem or not. Another is replace personal staffing in medical facility, particularly in the administrative functioning. So that's why also required artificial intelligence, managing waiting time and automatic scheduling, that also required by using artificial. So there are different branches in biomedical. So here we basically there are two, we will talk about the only two branches here. One is the visual branch, second one is the physical branch. So when we talk about the artificial intelligence is in biomedical in virtual branch. So virtual branch means the vital component in represent by the machine learning, that is also called deep learning. So we require some mathematical model where we can go for machine learning algorithm. So there is a unsupervised, which is ability to find patterns. Supervised means classification and selection algorithm based on the previous examples. Third is reinforcement learning, used for the sequence of reward and punishment to form a strategy for operation in the specific problem space. So in a virtual branch, we will try to develop a model for automatic diagnosis or classification. So this is known as virtual branch, where we can use some machine learning algorithm for automatic classification. Then the another thing, the AI can definitely assist physician for making a clinical decision making, okay, replacement human judgment in certain functional area of healthcare. It can also help to up-to-date medical information from the journal, textbook, and clinical practices. Thing is experience versus fresh clinicians. So artificial intelligence overcome these problems and they can assist to physician. Suppose somebody is experienced doctor, some is new doctor, then artificial intelligence based devices can help to take decisions. Another thing, 24/7 availability of experts, like some of the some of the disease we required continuous monitoring. So artificial intelligence can assist for these type of continuous monitoring system. Another is early diagnosis, prediction of outcome of the disease as well as treatment. Previously, people are only artificial intelligence they are using for only diagnosis purpose or prediction purpose. Now, after the evaluation, people are also using for treatment purpose. Okay, we will see some of the example how this can be used for treatment purpose. Another is feedback on treatment, reinforce non-parametrical management. Also, that is also benefit of AI. Like in the current situation, people are want to non-touch management. They don't want to touch anything. So these type of management system also AI can be helpful in healthcare. Reduce diagnosis and therapeutical error. Like if you have sometimes you required a second opinion. Why it is required? Because due to subjective judgment. Okay, because all doctor have different methodology, different phenomena. Based on that, they take decisions. Okay, so sometimes we required different type of opinions. So that thing can be reduced by using artificial intelligence. increase patient safety, and use cost saving associated with use of AI. Like, for example, some of the diagnosis, now here diagnosis are two types. One is the non-invasive diagnosis method, and second one is known as invasive diagnosis method. Invasive means the something we should insert inside the body, and we will take the sample from the body, and accordingly we can go for diagnosis purpose. Okay, so every time there is a some cost from taking data to take the decision, you required some chemicals or different type of machines for take decision. So that is known as invasive. When you are going for non-invasive type of technique, so non-invasive technique is costless. There is no cost, because just you need to develop the system, the cost of only the taking a system. Then another thing, just you need to take a data. Based on the data, you need to take decision. So the, of course, artificial intelligence based technique is use cost saving, because it does not require extra cost once you have developed the automatic system. AI system extract useful information from the large patient population. So it also reduce the time, also it can reduce for taking decisions, assist making a real-time interface from the health risk alert and health outcome predictions. So if some patient in the risk condition, okay, so it also can assist the patient for taking fast decision. I will take some of the examples. And learning and self-correction ability to improve its accuracy based on the feedback. Sometimes, suppose we are developing artificial intelligence based system, and sometimes we found there is some problem or some error is coming, so easily it can correct it. Okay, easily you can, based on the feedback, self-assessment, it can be easily correct. Also benefit of artificial intelligence based system. When we talk about the physical branch, so physical branch means physical object like device, medical devices, medical the organ transplantation, organ transport, transfer. These things can be used as a physical branch. Okay, so suppose, for example, if the artificial hands, development of artificial hands, artificial organs, so these type of branches come in under the physical branch of healthcare. Okay, sophisticated robots, and these robots also can assist to deliver a treatment, so that is known as robotic surgery. Okay, based on that, the doctor, yeah, of course doctor is required, but these type of robotic surgery, doctor can assist, but most of the work done by the robotic surgery. So use of robotics to monitor effectiveness of the treatment, so how much affected that particular treatment also useful for. So these type of things is come under the physical branch. So growth delivery of AI in healthcare, like a large genetic population, it can use for the large number of population, and it can also imbalance between the health workforce and patients. Suppose number of patients are more, so AI can helpful, and it can provide a growth driver to AI in healthcare. AI will also help to medical practitioner to achieve their task with minimum human intervention or clinical factor in meeting a increasing a patient demand. Like COVID situation, if we have a automatic or non-invasive methodologies, so it can easily help to people. So basically, in if you talk about the block diagram of in virtual branch, so here we require some data. So first thing is detection. This is the block diagram of AI system. So this is data acquisition. Then we have to go for some signal processing technique. Then we need to extract some information from the signal processing technique. Signal processing technique will convert the data into a different form. So they will convert in such a form so that you can extract more information from the data. That information you can contain as a features. Based on these features, you can go for physiological analysis, where you can have some by using some physiology of these features, you can correct the data. Then these features you can use as an input to any classifier or machine learning algorithm for taking a decision whether the person having a disease or not, and what are the states of that particular person. So this is whole system. So here now there are two type of system. One is diagnostic system. Okay, of course, diagnostic system can be used for diagnosis of any type of diseases. Clear? So now we will talk about human. As we already know, human brain is highly complex and nonlinear system. So EEG means electroencephalogram, measures the electrical activity generated from the neurons in the brain. So EEG signal is valuable clinical tool for investigating pathological and physiological states of human brain. But quantitative analysis of EEG signal is challenging task because the EEG signal is very complex, irregular in nature, and non-stationary nature. So, and visual scanning of EEG signal is very time consuming, may be inaccurate, very complex, subjective judgment and human error, and performed by the trained professionals. Therefore, we require to extract some features from EEG signal which can observe physiological changes in EEG. We can go for diagnosis and detection and classification purpose. So here I will take some example. Based on that, we will try to understand how the AI system can be developed. Okay. First, we will talk about the data set. So all artificial intelligence based non-invasive algorithm, you required some database. Okay. How you will get the database? If we talk about the pathological states, for pathological state, you need to collaborate with the doctors, or you can go for database which is available online. Clear? So in Google,
बना दिया आ गया
hello,
यार ये तो बहुत अटक रहा है यार
hello, yeah, please can you mute? Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so once we talk about the database, so database, either you can collect data, but India, it is very difficult to collect the data for pathological condition. Pathological condition means the person having some disease. So what to do for research or development of AI system? What do we need to do? So if you in a Google, if you go for PhysioNet ATM, PhysioNet ATM is there one ATM from where you can get the signals. That ATM is maintained by MIT USA. Okay, so there are several hospitals, they are collecting the data. After collecting the data, it can be visualized by some expert whether the data is correct and what are the conditions are available. Then they will donate to MIT. Then this database is available online for research purpose. Okay, so for example, in this data sets, this is the condition for data set. In EEG dataset, there are 5 subsets. One is Z, which is known as EEG signal eyes open condition. O is eyes closed condition. N or F belongs to the seizure free class. Seizure free means the person previously having a seizure, but right now they do not have seizure. Okay, and each subset containing hundreds single channel EEG recording and 20.6 second duration. Then the data is recorded by 128 channel amplifier system using common reference. What do you mean by the common reference? Common reference means the data they have taken by the 1020 system EEG data. So there are 3 type of modularities. Okay, either they can take using a one electrode which is known as monopolar. Monopolar means the electrode they are putting in the brain, the potential difference between at that particular point and ear lobe, right ear lobes. Okay, this is known as monopolar. Bipolar, there in a brain there are two hemisphere. One is the right hemisphere, second one is the left hemisphere. They are recording a in a bipolar recording. They are taking a data from left hemisphere, the same portion of the left hemisphere with respect to right portion of right hemisphere. That is known as bipolar recording. Third is known as common reference mode. Common reference mode means suppose 10 electrode recording they are taking and they are taking average of these. So that is known as common reference mode. So there are three type of montage has been used in the EEG signals. Okay, the sampling frequency is 173.61 hertz in this particular data. So now what we are trying to do here, we are trying to develop some automatic system for detection of epileptic seizure. Epileptic seizure is unwanted electrical disturbance of the brain. So in particular condition, there are lot of impulse will come in the brain and the person will lose the consciousness. Okay, so this is known as epileptic seizure. Okay, now what we can do and what we can develop, this is the question. So once you have data is supervised data. Supervised means previously we already know the condition which particular signal belongs to which particular class. Clear? So once we require the data, this is the first step to develop AI system. Clear? Now what you will do that from the data? By visual inspection, you cannot say the person having the EEG signal belongs to healthy EEG signal or diseased EEG signal. By visual inspection, you cannot see. Okay, so now what we need to do, we need to develop some system or we need to convert that signal into such a form so that we can extract some information from the signal. Clear? So now empirical mode decomposition method is suitable for non-stationary signal analysis. It's an adaptive method. Adaptive means which does not require any basis function. What do you mean by the basis function? Suppose you want to model any signal or any image, so you require some basis function. Like for example, if you heard about some of the algorithm like Fourier transform. Okay, so Fourier transform basis function is sinusoidal. Clear? But our signal is non-stationary. So when we talk about the sinusoidal, so you will get only one frequency component. Clear? But in our EEG signal, there are several frequency components. So how we can find out different band from that EEG signals? Clear? Another algorithm like STFT, short time Fourier transform, wavelet decomposition. You may heard about that wavelet decomposition. So wavelet decomposition is a multi-resolution property, but it required some basis function. That basis function is wavelet. But in EEG, we do not have any prior information. So we cannot estimate which particular basis function is useful for which particular application. That's why we require some adaptive methods. Okay, because we do not have any prior information to decompose your signal into a different bands. So EMD is method which does not require any basis function. Now how you will decompose that we will see. Second, data dependent method. Data dependent method means based on the data it will decompose. Clear? The third, the method does not require any condition about the stationarity and linearity of the signal. Means there is no assumption in this method. EMD method decompose a signal into a set of narrowband intrinsic mode functions. Okay, means EMD is a method which will decompose a signal into a different bands. Okay, and these particular bands known as intrinsic mode functions. And these intrinsic mode function is amplitude and frequency modulated models. Now, how this method will work? What Fourier says? Fourier says that any signal can be represented in the form of sinusoids. It means if there is a mixture of frequency, if there is a multi-component signal, then you can extract some sinusoids. Why sinusoids? Because when we will see sinusoidal signal into a frequency domain, then you will get exact frequency component of that particular signal. That's why we are trying to extract some sinusoids. Clear? So what is the, for IMF, there are two conditions. One, in the complete data set, number of extrema and number of zero crossing must be same or differ at most by 1. This is the first condition for IMF. Second is mean value of envelope defined by the local maxima and local minima is 0. If any of the signal is satisfying these two conditions, then you can say that this is IMF. Clear? IMF means narrow band signals. Clear? So we will demonstrate this algorithm so that you can understand. Suppose, for example, this is your EEG signals. Clear? Then you need to find out maxima from this, then interpoline this maxima, then find out minima, then interpoline this minima, then find out the average. So if this mean is not 0, then you can say that this particular signal is not IMF. Clear? So what do you need to do? You need to, means this, whatever you are showing in the pink line, that is extra quantity. Okay. For example, suppose, for example, if I will ask from 89, what you will subtract so that whatever number you are getting, that should be divided by 2. What you will do? You will divide 89 by 2, then remainder you will get 1. If that remainder you will subtract from the original signal, then whatever number you are getting, that completely divided by 2. Same thing here. So if pink line is the extra, that is known as remainder. Okay, that we will subtract from the original signal. So whatever signal we will get, this is the signal. Again, we will do the same process. We will find maxima, interpoline, minima. Then again, mean is not 0. Then again, it will subtract from this signal. Then this iteration will process till your mean will not be 0. Once your mean will be 0, but as we are doing this thing in a computer, okay, this process we are doing in a computer or in machine. So for machine, 0 means exact 0. It will not take 10 to the power minus 10 also. What we need to do? So we have defined, instead of 0, we have defined if the standard deviation of mean is in the range of 10 to the power less than 10 to the power minus 3, then it should be considered as a 0. Clear? Once you will get this, then whatever signal you are getting, that act as a IMF. This will be IMF. That's why this IMF called a narrow band, because it's not pure sinusoidal. It's a kind of sinusoidal, means it has some bend. Got it? So now this is the first IMF. Once you have first IMF, then this first IMF you will subtract from the original signal. Then the same process you will continue. Then you will get second IMF. Then first and second IMF you will subtract from the original signal. Then you will get third, from fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh. At last you will get residual. Residual means which is not following, where you cannot find out maxima and minima. This is like a DC component, or you can say that monotonic function. Okay. Now after this EMD method, your signal has been divided into a different parts or different band and residual. The signal can be represented in the form of, so the signal can be represented in the form of sum of IMFs plus residual, where M, capital M, is representing number of IMFs. I think you have understood. You have original signal. By using this EMD method, we have decomposed a signal into a different bands. Why we are decomposing? Because we don't know for that particular disease or that particular EEG or non-disease EEG, what particular band is responsible. Clear? What frequency component will be responsible for that particular activity? That we need to find out. So what we have done, by directly we will take EEG signal from the directly we will extract the features. Then we do not have exact information from the signal. So what we required? We required to decompose a signal into a different bands, so that we can, from the band, we can extract which particular band is useful. After decomposing a signal, these IMF do not have information about the frequency. So what we do? We will represent this signal into a analytic form. Okay, so like CT is your first IMF. Clear? Then we will find out ZT. ZT is CT plus J of Hilbert of CT. Once you will find out analytic representation means AT to the power J phi t. So what AT is representing? AT is the amplitude envelope, which will give how the signal amplitude is varying with respect to time. Clear? And phi t is the phase. So phi t will give the information how the frequency is varying with respect to time, because f is equal to 1 by 2 pi d phi by dt. So that particular phase will give you the information about the frequency. So after giving an analytic, you will get the information how the change in the frequency and what are the change in the amplitude. After that, we have developed a features which is known as beta AM and beta FM. Beta AM means the bandwidth due to amplitude and bandwidth due to frequency, because now we, after analytic, we have two information: how the amplitude is changing and how the frequency is changing. So if directly you will find out the bandwidth, then it will not give you information how much contribution due to amplitude and how much contribution due to frequency. So developed a model how to extract the bandwidth due to amplitude modulation and bandwidth due to frequency modulation, which will give the information what will be the contribution of bandwidth due to amplitude modulation or what will be the contribution due to frequency modulation. Once you have a features, then what do you need to do? We need to find out two things here. What IMF will be useful? First thing, what features will be useful? How to identify these things? So there is the one Kruskal-Wallis test. Kruskal-Wallis means ANOVA test, which will give you the information about IMF and features. Which particular features is useful for that particular, for identification of or classification of these particular EEG signals. Like for example, in seizure class we have 100 signals, and non-seizure class we have 400 signals. Clear? After EEG, after this signal, we have decomposed a different bands. So like these are the 8 bands. After bands, we have extracted features. One is the beta AM, beta FM. Now beta AM, this is the distribution of beta AM, and this is the distribution of beta AM for non-seizure class. If you see this thing, then you can find out for non-seizure class, beta AM is high, and for seizure class, beta AM is less. For first IMF, for second IMF, for third IMF, for fourth IMF. There is a discrimination in these two classes, seizure and non-seizure classes. In IMF 1, there is some discrimination in IMF 2, there is some discrimination in IMF 3, there is some discrimination in IMF 4. But after fourth IMF, IMF number 5, 6, 7, 8, we do not have any discrimination. This you can visualize by using this figure. Okay. So, and the range of beta AM is 0 to 0.3 for EEG signals. Okay, for both classes. If we talk about the beta FM, in beta FM also the non-seizure class beta FM is higher as compared to seizure class. And first 4 IMF is useful. After 4 IMF, there is no discrimination. Clear? This is known as Kruskal-Wallis test. We find out in the quantitative analysis. So we will find out the probability. If you see IMF 1, the probability is 0 for beta AM. For beta FM, the probability is 0. Probability 0 means these particular features for this IMF have a capability to discriminate these two classes. If a probability is less than 0.5, then you can say that this particular features and IMF can be used for a discrimination purpose. Clear? Like here, after fifth IMF, beta AF is used, beta AM is not useful, but beta FM can be used. Clear? But 6th IMF, 7th IMF, 8th IMF probability is high. Means these features and these IMF is not useful. So based on this Kruskal-Wallis plot of this test will give you the idea which particular features have a capability to classify or discriminate these different classes. Okay, this will motivate us to use these features as a input to machine learning algorithm. So there are several type of machine learning algorithm. Okay, there are several like neural network, discrimination analysis, okay, then ELM, then support vector machine. There are several type of classification algorithm. Okay, now deep neural network is also came in the existence. So which type of algorithm is useful? So there is no certain formula. Yeah, up to here we have extracted features, but there is no formula so that it can extract what machine learning algorithm is useful. Clear? Now we need to identify after this feature, if these features as a input to any machine learning algorithm, and which machine learning algorithm will be provide you better performance. Clear? So for this, but this motivates us to use some machine learning algorithm. Now here we will take LSSBM classifier, which is known as least square support vector machine. Now these features beta AM, beta FM can be useful for used as a input to these LSSBM classifiers. So this is, suppose this is LSSBM classifier. These are the input. So you need to define input and output set. Input output training set means the features we have extracted, which is beta AM, beta FM, that we will use as a input. Okay, and also we need to define output training set. Output training set means that will tell which particular features is belonging to which class. Means suppose you have 100 data for EEG seizure class and 400 data for non-seizure class. Then in an output training set, you need to tell about which particular features is belonging to class 1 or which is belonging to class -1. If we are going for 2 class, most of the diagnosis problem are 2 class classification problem. Okay, the person having a disease or not. So most of the diagnosis related problems are 2 class classification problem. Another thing, you need to select kernel parameter and kernel function and its parameter. Okay, based on that you can find out the performance of that particular classifier for that particular features. Clear? Now in LSSBM classifier, this is your features space. Okay, like in our case, suppose beta AM is x-axis and beta FM will be y-axis. Clear? So this is the features space. What do we mean by the training? Now all machine learning algorithm have 3 things. One is training, second one is learning, third one is the testing. What do we mean by the training? Training means the data, the features we have, we will tell about the machine learning algorithm which particular features is belonging to which class. So that is known as training. Like we taught any subject in a class. So what we do? We have syllabus. In that particular syllabus, we tell about the student what are the things are in that particular syllabus. So that is known as training. When you are teaching some course, that is known as training. From the training, how much student has learned. Okay, so same thing in the machine learning algorithm. Once you will do the training, after that it will find out the hyperplane. Hyperplane means the gap between these 2 classes. So that is known as learning. Clear? If your training is good, then learning will be good. Clear? Once you have a training, learning, then you will get some hyperplane. Okay. So for example, there are several hyperplane to find out these two classes. So which will be better hyperplane? Okay. So in the support vector machine, the support vector means the nearest point. They will take decision to make hyperplane. Once you have this hyperplane, then you will go for testing. Testing means exam. Once your model is trained and you have find out the hyperplane. Hyperplane means that GX, that particular function which we have find out after the learning. Clear? Once you have this hyperplane, then you will go for testing purpose. Testing means unknown data which you already known, but based on the data you can go for testing. Suppose you already know that particular data is belonging to seizure class or non-seizure class. Based on that you can check your model. Clear? So here people have used cross validation. What do you mean by the cross validation? Means suppose your data has been divided into 10 parts. Okay, like seizure case we have 100 data, non-seizure we have 400 signals. So what we will do, 90% data of seizure class or 90% data for non-seizure class, means 360 data from non-seizure class and 90 data for seizure class we will use for training. Or from test, 10% we will use for testing. Then we will check what is the performance of this classifier. Okay, this process we will repeat into 10 times. That is known as 10 cross validation, so that your entire data will be checked. Clear? So for this machine learning algorithm, you need to go for training, learning and testing. Once you will perform 10 cross validation, then you have to find now what will be the kernel function. So in LSSBM classifier, there are two kernel function. One is the polynomial kernel, second one is the radial basis kernel function. So polynomial kernel, you need to find out the degree. Like if in the first case you have selected L is 3, means third degree of polynomial you are using for kernel function. Clear? So find out which is the correct polynomial degree, that you also need to find out. Second is if you are using RBF function, radial basis function, then you have to find out sigma. Sigma is the bandwidth of that particular kernel function. So we need to find out correct value of L and sigma. Okay. Then other kernel I have proposed, that is Mexican head wavelet kernel and Morlet wavelet kernel. Okay, here also you need to select some parameter. So how to select the parameter? Previously we have used the trial and error method. Okay, based on which particular parameter is given better performance. Now we have developed some automatic algorithm which is known as optimization based LSSBM, where we have used optimization evolutionary algorithm to optimize these parameters, which is known as ABC LSSBM classifier or evolutionary algorithm based LSSBM classifier. So these values you can estimate by trial and error method, or empirically you can select, or you can go for optimization based approach to find out better classification performance. So now after the classification, what are the performance parameters? So there are few performance parameters which is known as sensitivity, specificity and accuracy. Clear? So what is TP, TN, FP, FN? So like here we have two different classes. TP means the data from the seizure classes, how many correctly classified. Okay, the data which is already belongs to the seizure class, and from your algorithm, whatever algorithm you have developed, like we have done signal processing, then we have accepted feature, then we have done classification. After classification, how much data you are, seizure class data you are correctly able to classify, that is known as TP. Okay, FN means TP, then TN means the seizure class data which you are not able to identify, means which is belonging to the previously the data belongs to seizure class, but your algorithm is not able to identify this is belonging to seizure class, that is belonging to normal class based on your algorithm. FP means the data belonging to non-seizure class and your algorithm is also find out this is belonging to non-seizure class. FN means the data is belongs to non-seizure class, but your algorithm is saying this is belonging to seizure class. So based on these FP, TP, TN, FP, FN, we can calculate sensitivity, specificity, and accuracy. Based on these three performance parameters, you can say that what will be the performance of your method or entire artificial intelligence based system. So this is the performance parameter. Like first we have empirically selected kernel parameter. These are the 4 different kernels where we have find out these 3 performance parameters: sensitivity, specificity, and accuracy. Then these are the different IMFs. Like we have find out the accuracy for first IMF, second IMF, third IMF, and fourth IMF. Because after fourth IMF there is no use, because beta these features is not able to discriminate these classes. So here we are getting 99.5 to 100%. Why there is a not single accuracy? Because we have performed 10 cross validation. Okay, so every time your accuracy will be different. So we need to take for range in the 10-fold what will be your range of the classification. So every time we are getting 99.5 to 100% accuracy in a second IMA. Okay, then this is receiver operating characteristics, which also ensure you whether that particular kernel function you are using that is useful for classification purpose or not. So these are the another performance parameter, receiver operating characteristics. This is known as features space. Features space means the polynomial kernel, RBF kernel, Mexican hate, and Morlet kernel we have used. Here this is for second class, second IMF, LSSBM with Morlet wavelet kernel. This is the features space. What it is showing, if the features space, the diamond is showing for class 1. Class 1 means seizure, and the star is showing for class means non-seizure class. Means this is the features space, and x-axis will be beta m, y-axis will be beta fm. Clear? Once you will have this model, all these things, then how this can be converted into a AI system? Okay, अभी तक हमने जो किया, that we have developed some system. Clear? Now after that, only you required a second IMF. What do you required now? You required EEG signal. Okay, then you will require second IMF. After extracting second IMF, beta m, beta fm you need to extract. Then these beta m, beta fm you need to plot in this particular plane. If in a dark place your beta m, beta fm coming in the dark place, then you can say that the person having that particular disease. If it is coming in that particular space where the star is coming, then you can say that the person is having a non-seizure class, and that particular EEG is belonging to non-seizure class. Based on the training, this hyperplane we will get. After getting hyperplane, your system is developed, everything is developed. Now this you need to convert into a package or in the form of software. Okay, that software have EMD method. Once you now after developing a system, the unknown EEG will come, then it will extract the second IMF, then it will calculate beta m, beta fm value. Once you have beta m, beta fm, this will plot in this particular features space, and it will tell you whether the person having the activity or not. Simple. So this type of system we can develop by using AI based algorithm. So after comparison, this method performed better, 99.5 to 100% classification accuracy. So this work we have compared, and this work is published in IEEE Transaction of Information Theory, Information Technology in Biomedicine. So after development of this system, you can say that the person having a disease or not, person is suffering from epileptic seizure or not. So this is known as classification. Clear? Another thing is known as detection. What do we mean by detection? What we are doing here, we are saying here the signal is belonging to that particular class. Okay, मतलब हमारे पास whatever signal you have, that is belonging to particular class. Clear? But when you are going for detection, means the continuous EEG signal is coming. Whenever the seizure activity is occurring, that point you need to identify. That is known as detection problem. Clear? So classification is different and detection is different. Machine, when you are going for classification or identification, that time machine learning algorithm is useful. Otherwise, you have to go for rule. For detection, you need to go for rule-based analysis. Rule-based means you need to identify that particular point when that particular activity is occurring. Clear? So here we have seen some signal processing algorithm, then how we can extract the features, then how we will identify whether the features is useful or not by using ANOVA test. Then these features used as an input to any classifier. Then the classifier will take decision. This whole system is known as artificial intelligence based system for diagnosis of epileptic seizure. Clear? So yeah, so this type of system, non-invasive system, can give the timely detection of that particular activity or classification of that activity. This is costless analysis, means this particular system, once you will develop the system, only you need to take EEG and the system cost is 0. Okay, this system you can import in the Raspberry Pi, in the microcontroller you can import this system, or simple computer. By using computer also you can take decision. Only you need to interface EEG with that particular AI based system. Clear? So this is one example I have encountered, which is known as pathological states classification. From, yeah, if you have any question, then you can ask. Hello.
Participants, if you have any query, you can ask. Sir, I think right now there is no any query.
Okay, so tomorrow, yes, tomorrow is also same time.
Okay.
We have session.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so tomorrow we will see 2 examples. One is the sleep stage classification. Then I will give a experimental exposure, how we can extract the EEG, and without hospital, how we can use the system, how we can acquire EEG signal, and how the physiological state classification can be done. So tomorrow we will see 2 examples.
Okay, sir. Yes.
Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
If anybody have any query, then they can ask, or they can write in a chat box.
Participants, if you have any query, you can ask and you can write on the chat board.
Okay. So tomorrow we will see
So there is no
experiment.
any query. So
Yeah.
thanks a lot, sir, for this wonderful session.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.